Welcome back to...
Fire Emblem! Engage!
Last time, we defeated the Fell Dragon Sombron and saved Elios, and countless other universes too. This time, I'm going to be reloading my file now that it has that Divine Dragon mark, and showing the bonuses you get for completing the game before launching into what you've probably all been waiting for, the DLC emblems. Now, just a fair warning, this video will not contain any of the DLC paralogs. I want to be covering the first DLC emblem, which has no paralog, on its own. But I'll also be covering some other things like donation rewards, and I thought it might be fun to check out the Tempest trials. But this is what you get for completing the game. You get a whole bunch of engaged weapon refinement items, some SP books, and 12,000 gold. Now, this seems like a lot, and it's kind of meant to cover all of your, you also unlock the higher difficulties for relay trials. It's meant to cover all of your expenses for reclassing in the quote-unquote post-game. The thing is, if you want to do any donations, this is going to be barely enough to get one country to level 5, and you kind of want to get all countries to level 5 if you want to see everything this game has to offer, and that's going to require a pretty sizable amount of grinding. Though, speaking of grinding, before I cover the next emblem, I do want to talk about one thing that I specifically saved talking about until now. The Amiibo Gazebo. So you might be wondering, it kind of sucks if you weren't able to get a hold of all the Fire Emblem Amiibos and therefore can't unlock all of these outfits, right? Well, it turns out, there actually is a way to unlock the Amiibo outfits without owning any of the Amiibo. How do you do this? It's simple. You have to get that emblem to Bond level 20 with a total of 36 characters. This just happens to be the total number of playable characters in the entire game without DLC. So if any of them died on Classic mode and you left them dead, then you have to do another playthrough in order to get these. Even then, getting to Bond 20 on, say, Celica with every single character, that's a really tall order and will require a lot of grinding, but it is nice to know that these outfits are not entirely locked behind Amiibos. But now, I think I've kept you in suspense for a very long time. It is finally time to go to the Lookout Ridge and awaken the Emblem of Discourse.
Divine One, we discovered this mysterious bracelet in southern Firene.
Actually, wait, before we get into this, I need to explain how this works. This event is required to access the rest of the DLC. The DLC was originally released in several sets, but as of recording this, it's all available now. I have the expansion pass, which gave access to all of it. This can be done after Chapter 6. That's the earliest possible time that you can do this.
There appear to be more of them enshrined on the islands off the coast. We should investigate.
There's an emblem inside this bracelet, all right. The presence inside is complicated.
Boy, I'll say.
But I think I have the invocation. Lead us, Emblem of Rivals!
Forces slow down. It's time for things to get complicated, and I don't just mean the discourse. The Emblem of Rivals is like Erica and Ephraim, except instead of 2 emblems in one, it's 3. And unlike those two, you don't get to control who's in the lead, thanks to their initial sync skill, friendly, in the biggest air quotes ever, Rivalry. At the start of every player phase, the emblem will randomly switch between Edeldard, Dimitri, and Claude. And there's 2 things you need to know about this skill. Firstly, it is possible to get the same Lord 2 turns in a row. Secondly, the skill stops working while you're engaged, At that point, you're locked into the lord you're currently on. Though in practice, which lord you're on only affects the Gambit skill and one other skill they'll get later, as while engaged, you'll have access to all their engaged skills and all their engaged weapons. But this Gambit skill, it's a command ability that you'll always have while synced with the Emblem of Rivals. When Edeldard is active, it becomes Flame Gambit, which creates flame terrain in a 3x3 area around the target after use. Unlike Three Houses though, this isn't an area of effect attack, only the initial target takes damage. But if you're used to Emblem Corrin, you'll know that flames are great for slowing things down. At bottom level 3, you get Lineage, active regardless of which lord you're on, which simply multiplies experience gained by 1.2 times. Unlike Byleth, this does not transfer to adjacent allies, only yourself. The engage skill for the Three Houses lords is Combat Arts. Each one of them has their own, and all three of them are accessible while engaged, regardless of which lord is currently leading. I'll just show them on separate pages for the sake of keeping things concise. As there's no weapon durability in Engage, the cost you pay for using these is instead remaining engaged turns. And Edeldard's gives you the most hefty price, but it's well worth it. For 3 engaged turns, Raging Storm lets you take another action after combat. Be warned though, you must use Aimer if you're using Raging Storm, so when fighting something that can counterattack, you'll be forced to take a hit. Another important note about the combat arts is that you cannot put yourself out of engage with them. If you reduce your engage turns to 0, you will remain in the engage state until the start of your next player phase. The class bonuses are the same for every combat art, and they're pretty basic. Dragons get 10% more damage, and covert units get plus 20 avoid. The engage attack, Houses Unite, is the same for all 3 lords. It has you attack with Aimer, Aradbar, and Failnaught once each at 50% damage each. Dragons deal 10% more damage for the whole attack, Cavalry, Covert, and Armored units deal 10% more damage with one of the 3 weapons, and makes me wish Dimitri's unique promotion back in Three Houses was Cavalry, but that's beside the point. Key Adepts automatically break the enemy, but as you're attacking with a sword, lance, and axe, that's likely anyway. But the real bonus is if you're adjacent to Byleth while using this, because then you get to take another action after the engage attack. Now remembering that if you're adjacent to Byleth, he could have used Goddess Stance on you, and that you have access to Raging Storm through this emblem, it's entirely possible to get 4 attacks in a single turn with whoever wears this bracelet. Edeldard's engage weapon is Aimer. Its stats are identical to Byleth's version, except this time non-dragons can use it. Well, friendly rivalry triggered, I guess I'm talking about the Prince of Blue Lions now. While Dimitri is active, you have access to Shield Gambit, which nullifies the first attack from ranged enemies targeting the unit for 1 turn. This is the only one of the 3 gambits that is not an attack. At Bond 10, any one of the 3 gains access to Dimitri's Aradbar while engaged. Its stats once again are the same as Byleth's version. Dimitri's combat art is Atrocity. It only costs 1 engage turn, and it simply lets you attack with double might. You must use Aradbar, and it's available even if you haven't unlocked it. This is just a solid all-purpose kill enemy button. And now the legendary Upside Down Man himself. Claude's Gambit is Poison, which poisons the enemy and all adjacent foes after combat. Good if you have multiple tough foes clustered together, but it's best on bosses. At Bond 15, you get access to Failnaught, my favourite of the 3 engage weapons, as it's a 2 to 3 range bow with a good critical rate. Claude's combat art is Fallen Star, costs 1 engage turn, and it essentially makes you invincible to the next enemy that attacks you. But as it forces you to use Failnaught, there has to be an enemy 2 to 3 spaces away from where you're currently standing. Back to Edeldard, because there's one more unlockable sync skill I have to go over. DLC emblems can go all the way up to Bond 20 from the moment you acquire them. No special unlocks required. So at Bond 12 and an upgraded version at Bond 17, you get Weapons Sync, another complicated skill, granting attack +5 or +7 if you initiate combat with the same weapon type as your synced emblem. If you're engaged, you gain the bonus regardless of what weapon you're using and regardless of who your emblem is. But for the Emblem of Rivals, you need to match whichever lord is currently leading. Axes for Edeldard, lances for Dimitri, or bows for Claude. If you inherit this skill though, every emblem has a pre-assigned weapon type for weapon sync, and the vast majority of them are swords. It is interesting that Erica and Ephraim change their weapon syncs based on which is active though. The Emblem of Rivals at its max level gives a pretty good +5 strength, along with +4 dex and +3 defense. Along with all its other bonuses, this is an emblem well suited to a good all-round physical attacker. Giant skill inheritance bio go! I saw no need to split this one up since everything's available from the start. For its stat boost, you get Strength and Dex Plus. For boosting 2 stats, this is fittingly expensive at higher tiers. Instead of a weapon bonus, you get Bow Guard, which reduces damage taken from enemies with bows. Probably won't save flyers from destruction, so save this for someone else who doesn't like ranged attacks. But as for sync skills, Lineage is pretty cheap, and if you don't mind using DLC early on, put this on someone early and watch them snowball. Weapon Sync is a nice damage boost, though it is expensive to inherit. And finally, the bizarre skill that is Assembly Gambit. Since the other 3 gambits rely on having Edelgard, Dimitri, or Claude active, they had to invent an entirely new gambit for having none of them, making this a rare command skill totally exclusive to inheritance. Most people don't think it's that great though. You might find the occasional use for dragging an enemy back 1 tile, but it's hardly game-changing. This emblem also grants access to axe, lance, and bow proficiency, potentially at a point in the game where that's difficult. For being the one DLC emblem you don't have to work for, the Emblem of Rivals is very strong.
Finally, we're free. I am Emblem Edelgard.
Is it really a good thing that we've freed you?
Pleased to meet you. I am Emblem Dimitri.
Guess that makes me Emblem Claude. Hi there.
That must have been a crowded bracelet.
Oh yes, believe me, you have no idea, Aaliyah.
Sorry, I should introduce myself. I'm the Divine Dragon. You're obviously not from Elios. May I ask what you're doing here?
Until recently, we were the guardians of another world. It seems we were moved somehow.
So, my headcanon is that Sothis got tired of the 3 of them killing each other in alternate timelines over and over, and so she decided to seal all of them in a ring for 1,000 years, and would only let them out if they learned the magic of friendship.
I get the feeling you've come to give me some sort of test.
No need for that. You were able to summon us. That is enough.
That is actually kind of a shame. I would have liked to have seen what their map would be. My guess would be a recreation of Gronda Field, and that would be kind of cool. Just as a bit of a preview, the Fell Xenologue DLC does show this game can handle, like, a 3-way battle.
And your timing is excellent. We were just growing weary of each other's conversation.
Yeah, I like to think that, yeah, these 3 were stuck together with only each other for company for 1,000 years, and if you play 3 houses, you can only imagine what that would entail.
Speak for yourself. I thought Dimitri's stories were getting better with every telling.
But speaking of stories, my headcanon is that at this point they have a good sense of humor about all of the various timelines from their universe. So like, they're all like, hey, remember the time Claude went totally off the deep end? Good times!
Yes, the sarcastic interruptions kept increasing too. Coincidence, I'm sure.
You 3 all seem to be really comfortable with each other.
No, they aren't, Aaliyah.
Appearances can be deceiving.
Yes, they are.
Really, Edeldard?
Boy, if you play 3 houses, Dimitri's like, oh, are we seriously gonna get into this again?
She's kidding. You can tell because her face looks exactly the same as when she's serious.
Of course, Joe Zege's Claude is still amazing.
We have always been in competition. It will be refreshing to join forces.
Dimitri's like, well, I mean, at least this time all 3 of us are joining forces.
I should explain. We were all students at the Officers' Academy, but we led different houses.
That's what you meant by competition.
No, it isn't, Aaliyah. We'll get to that later.
Yes. We only truly came together for special events, like the Battle of the Eagle and Lion.
Special events, world-shattering wars.
A traditional mock battle between the houses, to celebrate one another's strengths.
Also, it involved Flame for some reason, and, you know, Hilda betrayed Claude. It was fun.
The real celebration was afterward. Our festivities got rather exuberant that night.
I seem to remember, like, the only thing I remember about that scene afterwards is that there's, like, a line between Dorothea and Ferdinand that changes if you've done a certain support, I think.
Dimitri looks pretty straight-laced, but don't let him fool you.
Don't let him fool you. Get on his bad side, and he will graphically murder you.
Between you and me, he's like a force of destruction at a party.
Yeah, you just left out the part where he considers battlefields a party.
I'm surprised they didn't expel his whole house for those shenanigans.
I mean, you know, they're kind of the most normal and straight-laced of all the houses, so,
Must have been quite a night.
You only just met him, so you can't tell if he's joking. Just ignore half of everything he says.
Come on, be fair. At least a third of what I say is worth hearing.
You do know a third is less than half, right?
I was about to say that, and, oh boy, if Edeldard and me are on the same page, that doesn't bode well.
I see we've gained some dependable allies.
Now, remember when I said that you can do this starting with Chapter 6? If you do it at that point, you'll miss this conversation. You'll only get this if you wait until you gain Byleth in the main story.
Professor, you're here as well? Now I truly feel motivated.
Great, that means you'll be able to get in more classes and choir practice, I guess.
What an honor it will be to fight by your side.
If you're that honored, I'll have to make sure I'm at my best.
This little reunion reminds me of the day we first met the professor.
You mean that night our camp was attacked by bandits?
Bandits that I had nothing whatsoever to do with.
That's right. Only now, Claude won't be able to make any strategic retreats.
I guess we are sort of stuck together now, aren't we? I hate to say it, but we'll need to learn to get along better if we're fighting on the same side.
Yes, you will.
Oh boy, I wonder if, like, Byleth's voice actor was actually channeling, like, some Three Houses when he said this line. Because his Byleth's tone is just like, yes, no more fighting under my watch. I'm watching you, all of you. Especially you, Claude. I used to think you were the one exception, but now Three Hopes revealed you're not.
True. None of us can do all that we must on our own. But together, as part of this army, I think defeat is inconceivable.
Obligatory Princess Bride reference, I don't think you know what that word means.
Maybe I sound arrogant, but I'm that confident in the skills our professor has taught us. Wouldn't you agree, my teacher?
Of course. I am proud of you all. This time, let us fight together to the end.
Byleth's like, yes, I finally have a timeline where all 3 of them don't kill each other.
Let me say it formally. Our power is at your disposal. Please make the most of it.
Victory will be ours. Have no fear. We are here to help.
And if these two and their conventional tactics fail, maybe I'll show you a few tricks.
Just as long as they're not of the Golden Wildfire variety,
That's
please.
all very reassuring. Thank you. I'll do my best to help the 3 of you work together.
Trust me, Aaliyah, you've got your work cut out for you. So, I will have already gone over the bracelet of the Emblem of Rivals, but with it we have access to the Divine Paralogs, but I'll be going over that at the end of this video, because for now, I can finally grab this. That's a spirit gem. But yeah, it's nice when Vale is up here watching over, but I was never able to go here during the main playthrough because I would have triggered that cutscene. But yeah, we have this campsite here that I
Hey there.
also never showed during the main playthrough. Right now, though, my main dilemma is who I give the Emblem of Rivals to. So Yunaka will get a boost from, and I think it's only like dragons and coverts who get a boost on the engage skill. Generally, you want a good all-round physical attacker, and here's the problem. Lapis is kind of my best option out of my main team. Sort of. I don't really think that Amber is fast enough for it, plus I kind of like Icon him. The problem is, like, I love that massive strength boost, but, the Three Houses bracelet also boosts strength, but I think I will go with this for now.
Edeldard!
Indeed.
Unfortunately, they always call out Edeldard's name for it, even though I like to consider the bracelet to be all three of them. Oh no, Vale's cooking. Okay, 5,000 bond fragments, yeah, here's the thing, I'm gonna have to start from scratch leveling all of these. Now, what's interesting is, you can actually choose whether to train with any of the three of them. However, no matter which you choose, every character is fixed in terms of which they have bond conversations with. Alear and Vale get all three of them, whereas everyone else gets just one.
I am Edeldard, Princess of the Adrestian Empire.
Oh wait, oh no. Oh no, no hit rate, good.
Disappointing.
Thanks for the sparring match.
Yeah, that's dragon effective, but kind of insane that even at that low level you still one-shot.
Between you and me, Dimitri, do you water down your milk before you drink it?
Okay, one, I was hoping she'd get Dimitri, but that was kind of my gut feeling. And two, this is a weird thing to be talking with Dimitri about.
I can't say that I do, but if that is how you enjoy it, you should feel free to do so.
Like, some of the more, what's interesting is I think some of, like, the more atoning members of the army get Dimitri, which is cool.
Dimitri, have you got a moment? This patch spot here, does it stand out?
No, not at all. It is very well done. I only wish I could be that dexterous.
Yeah, I was about to say, Dimitri's not the one you want to talk about regarding fixing clothes. He would probably break them even harder. And also, I think in like one of his supports, he snaps a needle in half without even really trying. Okay, I mean, this is gonna spend most of my bond fragments, but you kind of do need access to all three of the engage weapons to make the best use out of this emblem, and let's just say the next DLC emblem we'll be getting is kind of good no matter how high its bond level is.
Claude, leader of the Golden Deer House. You can't have bested me.
Thanks for the sparring match.
Not as big of a strength bonus as Roy, but it does make her a little bit tankier of a wyvern. The really important part is we have that sweet 2 to 3 range fail Nord. Okay, I forgot to use a whole bunch of the expert books that I got out of the... I mean, this will actually let me inherit maybe some skills from the DLC emblems, though. Strength and Dex +2, I mean, it's better than nothing. Now the main event is done, some bonus features. Like I said, donation levels. So, getting Furine to max donation level will get you Venomous, a smash S-rank lance that also inflicts poison. Getting Brodia to level 5 will give you the Divine Fist Arts. Getting Solm to level 5, I believe gives you that regular S-rank axe. That would be the only one that was left over. And getting Illusia to level 5 gives you Notice, an S-rank staff, which means that I would need to reclass somebody to Martial Master to actually use it. Only them and Hortensia can use this. And you kind of want it to be on Hortensia, because it's an only one-use staff, but you can get it for free if you're lucky with her class skill. And it fully restores the engage meter of all allies. See, that level is 25, and now this final level requires 50,000! So yeah, I do want to show it. There it is, Notice, and 3,000 bond fragments is pretty cool, and also Starry said. Something that I didn't notice before as well is, it actually does tell you the rates for gold and silver corrupted for every country. If you check the memento drawer, there is something unique to every S support here. So for Vale, it's this. I legitimately did not know this until people in the comments pointed it out to me. So, I apologize for that, but yeah, this kind of goes to show how little I kind of care about S supports in Engage. I sort of have this feeling, but this is probably just like copium, because this is just me personally. I've never really been a huge fan of Avatar S supports. I kind of feel like S supports haven't made sense since Fates, but they've had to keep them in every later game just because they're popular. Now, I actually don't know this. Though considering the DLC emblems do not have bond rings, which I can just prove right now, I doubt this is true. Can I polish... Oh. I can polish Discourse.
You know that's clean, right? It looks better than ever.
Lapis, what have you done? Don't rub the Discourse, you will only agitate it. But actually, it's a good thing that I'm here, because I can now show off that whole bunch of augments that I just got for Engage weapons. So I never did this during the main story, because the main way that you get these is through Tempest trials, which I don't like doing during the main game, and also relay trials, which are online only. But as you can see there, you might notice that there's capacity on each of these, and some of them have less capacity than others. So, here's the thing, capacity goes up by 1 for every character who has a bond level 10 with that emblem. I'm surprised at how low most of these others are. But yeah, the maximum capacity without DLC is 36 for every non-DLC playable character. And you know what, I probably should go ahead and if I'm gonna be augmenting any of these, it should probably be the DLC emblems. So you can use these crystals to raise might, hit, or other stats. You can also use these banes to give a weapon that doesn't already have effectiveness an effectiveness bonus. So for example, I don't believe you are able to give, yeah, as you can see, I don't have access to any banes here, whereas with Mercurius, I do. The weapon must not already have an effectiveness bonus in order to be given a bane. But it takes a lot of these Bane books to actually give a weapon one of those. And also, different weapons cost different amounts of crystals to refine, so for example, Falchion, it costs a lot more to refine that than anything else. But, as I said when I alluded to this way earlier in my playthrough, I would recommend refining weapons that already have effectiveness bonuses, because each point of might on those weapons is effectively 3 points of might when hitting a weakness. Just trying to think whether I use Failnaught or the... I mean, I suppose I have enough crystals for a lot of them, so... Let's go with a might increase on Failnaught, and a might increase on a red banana, because that will also boost it up with, my, combat arts. But yeah, those are all stuck on 1 capacity, and I don't really use this very often, but I suppose... Yeah, you can have these boost stats too, which is cool. I mean, you can take might too. And also, you can strip the augments from a weapon if you just want to spend the capacity differently, although I believe, I'm just going to test this with the aimer just in case. I don't know if it gives you your crystals back. Again, because I don't like using this, I might as well test this on that. It looks like, hang on a minute. No, yeah, I didn't get my crystals back, so, yeah. Science has been conducted. Don't do that unless you're really, really certain that you want that augment gone. Yeah, as I was saying, I don't really use augments that much because even according to developer interviews, they're not actually necessary to beat the game, even on maddening mode. But they can be a fun bonus for people who want to do the Tower of Trials. So, Relay Trial and Outrealm Trial both require online. I'm going to go for Tempest Trial first. And I'll save the other 2 for other videos. The goal of a Tempest Trial is to clear several battle maps in succession, kinda like in Heroes. For each battle you clear, there's usually 3 in a set, but you can quit before you're finished. You'll get materials and experience for the allies who took part, except on Maddening mode where you don't get any experience, nice try. Select the trial's difficulty during map selection. Higher difficulties yield greater rewards. Now, the difficulties are in abstract sets of like, numbers rather than, like, actual recommended levels. And so we have access to all of these right now, so obviously these are all based on the different countries, with Vicious Volcano being Grand Lawn. This one is unlocked after you beat the game. And as you can see here, there are bonus materials you can get, so I could go here to try and recoup my Might Crystals, I suppose. And you know what, I like Brodia, let's go with this one. So, recommended 41. Now, you might notice here that if I lower the level, I will get less of these rewards and also less experience, and no books obtained. So you have to do things at the recommended level if you want to get, like, the best rewards. Here's the problem, though. Something the game doesn't tell you is the difficulty levels are all identical, regardless of difficulty, which effectively means they're all maddening by default, and I once tried this in post-game. It was not fun. It felt like Three Houses maddening, where every enemy was a brick wall that took forever to die. So I'm just thinking, just for the purposes of demonstration, I think I'm going to set this... what's the bare minimum I can do and still get experience? Yeah, I'm going to set this to the bare minimum. Okay then, this is actually a totally new map. Sometimes in the Lethos one, it's just identical to, like, Chapter 1, but okay. Right. I think these are a lot weaker, probably a little bit too weak for my liking, but, I mean, those generals are actually somewhat strong. But yeah, I'm gonna just fight in this a little bit, and I'll probably just show you the results, or if anything crazy happens, I'll show you highlights. Of course, the important thing to note here is that people don't actually die in Tempest Trials, and also you only lose if everybody is defeated.
As you wish.
So you can, in other words, you can keep going even if Aaliyah goes down. Oh, I really love the way those flowers look.
I had no choice but to win.
Okay, it looks like you can still get achievements here, even if you're not earning experience.
Let's go together.
So how about we show off a little of what the Emblem of Rivals can do? Firstly, yeah, the engage animation is totally different to what you might be used to. And secondly, if we're engaged, we can use combat arts, and alright, Raging Storm. I was going to use Raging Storm here, just to show that off, but, I mean, I suppose I could. It's not going to kill you unless I crit, though. And yeah, as I will have already said in the bio...
You're going down.
You're going down!
Is that all?
The important note about this is that... Oh, I get to cancel, and then I believe I should take another... I get to take another action. Yeah, there you go. No real fanfare there, just, oh, you get to take another action. But yeah, Raging Storm forces you to strike last because of being forced to use aimer.
Is that all?
Yeah, unfortunately, no more I have faith in the goodness of humankind for, Lapis. We're just going to be getting the more sarcastic, defeat quotes here. I'm actually not, like, 100% sure who each quote goes to. Now, I do know that, one of them, though, I obviously do know who this one goes to, is that some people will say Claude's iconic quote, "That's the golden deer for you." But in the case of this game, they'll actually say their home countries, like they'll say like, "That's Brodia for you," or "That's Solm for you," except for Vale. Vale is both interesting
There is nothing to fear.
and actually very tragic, in that she says, "That's,
Guess that's it.
me for you."
In the end.
I'm pretty sure people don't actually die permanently here. I hope that's true. Maybe they do actually die permanently here. See, yeah, you can tell I don't really do this mode very often. Because actually, wait, if they didn't die permanently here, you would be able to use this place as a free experience farm, so maybe they do actually die here? I'll have to not save after I do this.
Is that all?
Yeah, see, I can't tell if that's an Edeldard quote or if that's a post-time skip Dimitri quote.
Is that all?
But she's saying that a lot. But yeah, the implication is that Vale would say that's Grand Lawn for you, but she obviously doesn't have very many positive memories of that place. And I think Aaliyah does say that's the golden deer for you. Now we can show a Flame Gambit here. So you still get to damage the enemy.
I won't let this go to my head.
But after combat, you set the area on fire. I went silent there because I was just reminded of what Ian... I mean, I know it's referencing the actual, like, you know, Flame Gambit that anyone can use.
I'll change the future.
But considering this is Edeldard's Gambit, I like to think that this is actually a reference to a very specific thing in Three Houses that, if you know what it is, you can probably tell why I'm being silent. Although it's a very specific thing that in my first playthrough, I completely avoided having it happen. I was never aware it could even happen. So this situation with Alcrus right here, it kind of sums up why I don't like the design philosophy behind these maps. See, I'm actually doing something that I usually don't ever do in Engage. Just blindly sitting somebody on, like, a void terrain, and then just ending my turn repeatedly until everything gets killed. Of course, the chain attacks do kind of prevent that strategy from really working, but you get the idea. Like, the design philosophy behind these maps is just kind of spamming you with a lot of enemies at once, and it kind of just encourages mindless baiting like this, which the regular gameplay of Engage does not really encourage. You can tell why I don't do these maps very often.
Get stronger until
it would have been really tricky to actually design, like, you know, a set of, like, multiplayer or side mode maps that were just as well made as the main chapters of Engage. And if anything, this actually does make me really appreciate just how well made the main chapters of Engage are. But this kind of thing does feel like the design philosophy of a lot of the Fire Emblem games that I've just found less satisfying than I used to. Okay, because I'm on Claude, I can do Poison Gambit and poison you. These don't cost anything, unlike the, Engage skills. So yeah, important to note here is that I'm on Dimitri right now, so while Engage I only have access to shield gambits, but I do still have access to all 3 Engage weapons, as well as all of the combat arts. So with this combat art, everything can become a mild effectiveness weapon. Well, a Fire Emblem 7 effectiveness weapon.
Is that all?
A Fire Emblem 7 English version effectiveness weapon. So we got through one map, but unfortunately, Yunaka felt the power of Ding Dong. So I'm gonna not save, because I need to get through all of this just to prove if that death actually sticks. Oh wait, no, Seadoll did as well. So that's why I'm down to, I knew the loading screen looked very bare, but at least you are allowed to, like, send in replacements. Oh yeah, it's a big one though, and it's just, I'm not a huge fan of this kind of design. It's very enemy spam heavy. It doesn't feel like Engage. Like, if anything, these maps definitely give me a greater appreciation for why I like Engage's gameplay so much. The fact that, like, this feels much more like average Fire Emblem design. Just spam enemies everywhere, don't really put much thought to exactly where they are on the map, don't put much thought into, like, what characters, like, that you... Oh, you don't even get healed between maps either, interesting, okay. It's just like, and again, it's just, this is a big part of why I like this game as much as I do. It's because having, like, design, map design this good in a turn-based strategy game is legitimately very difficult.
I'll do my best.
You know, I just kind of realized something. Deaths would have to not stick, because otherwise Aaliyah could die here and that would mess up the whole game. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say deaths don't stick here, but I really hope that I'm not wrong about that. But yeah, it's just, like, this is part of why I've never really tried to make a ROM hack of my own, because it's just, like, it is really difficult to design a genuinely good map in a turn-based strategy game. And just the fact that Engage, its base game, nailed it just so well, that really does deserve commendation. It's part of, like, it's sort of the main reason for my, like, I'm not entirely against people who prefer, like, who play these games more for story than for gameplay. The reason why I get so frustrated a lot of the time and engage the reception is, I just keep looking at fan reviews that admit this game has the best gameplay in the series, and then say the worst Fire Emblem thus far. Like, how can you ignore game design this genuinely good? It's just... Because see here, what I'm doing here is playing very slowly and cautiously, just kind of baiting the enemies to me one by one, and that's really counter to Engage's design philosophy. It's kind of a shame that I don't find, like, I'm sorry I'm being really negative here, but, like, it's kind of a shame that I don't really find, like, the gameplay to be that great in these maps, because, like, I've always said that, like, I mean, Fire Emblem's always had a problem with multiplayer. Like, its first real attempt at multiplayer, well, was actually Kaga doing it first in Tearing Saga, but that was like, that doesn't really count, since it's, you know, technically not Fire Emblem. That actually kind of had a full-on multiplayer mode where people could, like, use their own teams against each other, and even that wasn't really that great. I mean, there's still probably a massive first-turn advantage, and a lot of the way the maps are designed is not amazing. But yeah, then we had, like, the first official Fire Emblem to include multiplayer, which was the GBA Fire Emblem games, and that didn't really have any maps. It was just like you put your characters in an arena and fight each other. And it was fun. What I enjoyed doing is pitting my different teams against each other from different files in the arena. Well, I suppose I can show off Fallen Star. Avoid attacks during next combat.
You're going down. It was a good try.
Okay, that's probably Claude. Maybe it does depend on which weapon you're using. So, I'm guessing it only means the next combat? We'll see. I'm guessing that not enough people attack Lapis to justify me using that, but we'll see. I'm also waiting for that 10% bonded shield fail rate to kick in.
I'll protect you.
Still hasn't.
The Divine Dragon.
Yeah, and then we didn't really have any multiplayer modes until,
I'll do my best.
yeah, so the thing is that, like, Fates had actual multiplayer, and that always kind of confused me because I don't know, I never really played Fates multiplayer. Like, I never really did much when it came to Fates' multiplayer. Like, it was an actual, like, PvP. It wasn't just facing another team controlled by the AI, which is actually the multiplayer that this game has. But I never played it just because, like, it was like, everyone probably just spammed Warping Witches. Oh yeah, Shadow Dragon. I probably said something that I forgot. Shadow Dragon's multiplayer. That also was actually PvP, and it had online play. But the issue with that is that, Failnord is such a cool weapon. I love this. Just like a full-on 2 to 3 range bow with no downsides.
It was a good try.
But, anyway. Lapis looks really small now that I, like, can see her, like, flying with this kind of outfit. The reason why I didn't really play much of that is because it was full of hackers. Nobody really took it seriously, and that's kind of the thing. Like, people generally don't take Fire Emblem multiplayer very seriously.
For the Divine Dragon.
And I almost feel like if they had designed multiplayer maps for this game, they're as good as most single-player maps in Engage, maybe people would have taken multiplayer in Fire Emblem more seriously. So yeah, here I can actually show something. If I use my Fallen Star here,
It was a good try.
so this technically puts me to 0 engage turns. So as you can see, there's no number there anymore. However, I'm still engaged. The engage won't wear off until the start of my next turn. Okay, yeah, I was hoping I'd get to show this at some point, but as you can see there, Dimitri just friendly rivalried into himself. So it is just a 33% chance at the start of every turn that you'll land on any one of the 3. It's not like either of the 2 you're not on. It can be any of the 3, including yourself.
I won't let this go to my head.
I just got Dimitri 3 turns in a row. 2 stages down, 1 to go, and nobody got ding-dongified that time. Okay. Now, this one... Oh, and it's defeat the enemy commander too, but holy magoli, that's a lot of things. Yeah, a lot of phantom worms. This is like... See, yeah, this is just... Again, this is the kind of design philosophy that that really should not be in Engage. Like, that's way too many phantom worms in such a cramped space. But okay, there is a boss here. And it says that, although it's a little bit too far for me to warp skip from just where Ivy is right now. But yeah, I think this map is actually based on one of the DLC ones. Yeah, I can only warp about half the distance of the map, so I guess I need to get to that central island, take it over, and then use that as my base for the assault on the boss.
Sounds perfect.
Yes, indeed, it does sound perfect. Okay, this looks really nice. As far as its graphics go.
Goodbye.
Did you just sink into a crack in the ground in the middle of your victory animation? You know, Leaf, I really could have appreciated you using Brionac there. Just saying. Okay, plan. Step 1. Astra Storm Boss Man. But anyway, step 2. Warp in an elite hit squad. Now, yes, Jean was part of that, because I want to try and show off Houses Unite adjacent to Byleth. Okay, yeah, right, so, let's do this. So, Jean doesn't even need to attack anything. He just needs to be there for emotional support, because these three definitely need emotional support. If they had emotional support, maybe none of this would have happened. But okay, so, Houses Unite Plus, get another action.
Siege! Oh.
I have legitimately never seen that before.
On my way.
Let's do this!
That's it. Strategy in motion.
Let's see you talk!
What's this? It was a good try.
Yes, that was a good try. But yes, now I get to take another action. And, let's... Actually, I guess we can kind of end this in style. You know what? No, let's actually do Raging Storm. Which does force me to use Aimer, but that doesn't matter when you can't counterattack me.
Allow me.
It was a good try.
And get 3 actions in one turn. Oh, in fact, you know what? I could have used Goddess Dance and actually got 4 actions in one turn. Now I feel bad that I didn't do that, but, you know what? Yeah, this was still stylish.
I'll go first.
I would say Lapis is being a one-woman army, but she is kind of 4 people right now. And somehow she didn't get MVP for that. Okay, we cleared the Mountain Peak trial. Question. We get a little bit of experience, just barely any because I set the difficulty really low. We get these rewards, but the question is, are Yunaka and Seedol still dead? Oh, I see their sprites there. That was a bit of a delayed reaction, but yeah, that means that they're... I mean, it would make sense. Like, let me just confirm. Yes, indeed, they are not dead. My headcanon is they were practicing their acting. And, yeah. The play that everyone was putting on there required their characters to die in scene 1. They probably played like the 2 lovers who tragically got killed in the first battle. But yeah, so obviously they wouldn't let people actually die in those fights because then Aaliyah could die and that would break the game, so that makes sense. But yeah, we still got a little bit of rewards even if we didn't get much experience, and to be honest, I'm okay with us not getting experience from that because I don't want to get too over-leveled because, well, I did promise that I would show this. We now have a special link on the world map. I love how I can just mash the button and just do that, make the ship speed up and slow down. But we've now arrived on, I guess, an expanded map of this island. Welcome to the Divine Paralogs that have their own individual world map. However, right now, only one Divine Paralog is accessible. The first one. A bracelet has been sighted in the icy temple of a mystical dragon. I'll see you all next time when we awaken the second DLC bracelet.